Everything is changing, growing, and evolving, even you. From the nurse's student to the baby nurse, off the bedside nurse and into entrepreneurship, you have evolved. So now we're here at the Evolved Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Lakeisha, and let's get right into the episode. Hey, you guys. Today, our guest is someone who is such an inspiration to me and so many others. Not only did she accomplish her goals, no matter the obstacles that presented themselves, she also dedicated her life to teaching and coaching others to do so as well. A testament to age is not a boundary. Your mindset is a mother, a leader, a teacher, a change maker in nursing, a CRNA and leadership community. Let's welcome Chief Rochelle to the Evolved Nurse Podcast.
Oh, thank you. What an introduction.
You do a lot, so you deserve it.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So here on the Evolved Nurse, I always ask this initial question to whatever career anybody is having. You are currently a CRNA, so did you always want to be a CRNA?
Believe it or not, no. I just wanted to be a nurse and take care of my daughter. I was a teenage mom, right? I just got an associate's degree and I was like, I'm good. I'm golden. And as long as I can provide for my daughter and make a good RN salary, I was good. So I didn't learn about CRNA until sort of later into my career when I saw this African American anesthesiologist giving sedation to a certain patient population. I was like, is this possible for me? Because we were at the lunch table and I said, so how long did you have to go to anesthesia school? And she was like, no, I said, how long did you go to medical school?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I'm not a doctor, I'm a nurse. I was like, whoa, really? So you're telling me that I could do your job also as a nurse? She was like, absolutely. And she was the one that taught me about CRNA. And it was always sort of in the back of my mind. But when I went into the ICU and I was in the SICU and I started getting report from CRNAs and anesthesiologists. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can do
This is what
this.
I need to do.
This is what I need to do for sure. Yep.
I know. So I am an operating room nurse. So when I initially started in the OR, I was like, that job looks like I will fall asleep.
Oh, really?
But
Until something hit the fan.
yes, but it wasn't until I actually was in the OR. So I did a nurse externship. And that's where I was like, I don't know how they just sit back there and do that. And when I did the nurse externship, I didn't really understand the scope of what your practice was. And I think a lot of people don't know until they're doing it or they're in situations where you're actually running for something for your for your anesthesiologist or CRNA and a patient is crashing and they have to be the ones to maintain. So, can you tell me what it looks like to be a CRNA?
That's a great question. You know, a lot of people just assume our job is just sitting back in a chair and then just making big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's what most people assume. However, it goes way beyond just sitting behind a chair. It involves decision making on the spot, quick decision making under pressure, because sure, it looks great when the case is going just smooth,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's why we say our job is a 80/20 phenomenon, because 80% of the time, everything goes perfect, but it's just that 20% when all hell breaks loose. So we start our anesthesia care before surgery even start. right? We start in pre-op, we start in same day, we start before the patient even come to the OR. We are creating an anesthetic plan based on several things, based on their comorbidities, based on their past anesthetics, based on allergies, based on BMI, based on their heart, their lungs, all the things.
Mhm.
Then we are expected to bring them into the OR, provide them with a range of anesthetics, whether it's regional, which is we're numbing them up somehow, like a epidural or block, correct, or just general anesthesia. And then our job continues to waking them up and controlling their pain. And controlling their pain is in the OR as well as out the OR. So it's a whole spectrum. Then you can go further and say, we then still follow them post
Mhm.
operatively, right? And that's when we learn about, how did they react to that medicine that we gave? Oftentimes we give succinylcholine, which is a ultra short acting muscle relaxant, right? Many people have fasciculations, which causes them residual muscle pain. So it's just a broad scope of giving anesthesia. So it's not just sitting behind the curtains and scrolling through your phone. You better know your ACLS off the top of your head. You better know where the drugs are and there's Pyxis behind you. You better know how your lines look. Do you have reliable IV access? So yeah, so that's essentially what it looks like for us.
And I can say for me last night, I went into a neuro case because I'm night charge in a pediatric OR and
Mm-hmm.
went into a trauma and they had one line. So throughout, and it was a combo surgery. So it was a neuro first, and then it was a general case to follow that one. So throughout the case, we're trying to find a line. We can't get a line, can't get a central line, don't have the PIC team there. Our anesthesiologists and everybody, we're trying to do this because we know that they need to have multiple lines for this surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But at any given time when you're in the OR, especially being trauma, this was the first time I have seen that you actually follow the patient. Initially being in adults,
Exactly.
because once I drop the patient off, I'm like, I'm gone. But now that I'm charged, I see more of what your role is, like how you follow the patient, how sometimes you're going up to the floor for the patient. And then at times you may be the anesthesiologist that helps if this patient does crash.
Well, surprisingly though, Lakeisha, we are giving anesthesia in the ICU. We do
Mhm.
a lot of cases up on the floor and people don't even know that,
I
right?
did it.
Right. I know a lot of people don't. They just tunnel vision our role as working primarily in the OR with an anesthesiologist. Now, 99% of our core practice is working in a team care model. However, there's some nurse anesthetists that's also practicing independently and just
Mhm.
CRNA solo practices. So you could work in a rural setting, you can work in large academic centers, you can work in small surgery centers and endo centers. There's a host of places that you can work. And our profession just varies. We can do blocks, epidurals, spinals, um, OB, cardiac, trauma, a host of different things. That's why I love our career so much.
And it just opens my mind so much more, like, to see people like you talking about CRNA school, to actually be able to work with people who are in CRNA school, new anesthesiologists, new, like, residents that are coming in. I'm seeing so much more of your role because oftentimes in the OR, we're doing our role and we're helping to make sure that the patient is safe. But what does safety look like? And you have to also consult with your anesthesiologist and ask those questions. I have seen where people are kind of afraid to mend the communication.
Yes, I tell my mentees that all the time. Like when they first meet with me, they're so so shy and so meek and mild, and I get it, you're nervous. I was that woman, I was that person,
Mhm,
right? And it just took time for me to build my confidence and to become assertive, because once you're in that OR, you are alone. Sure, you work with an anesthesiologist, but at that giving time, you're alone in the OR. So
mhm,
if something doesn't look right with the surgery, it's your responsibility as a nurse anesthetist to speak up about it,
mhm.
right? He can't assume anything. You are responsible. Us as CRNAs are responsible for that patient. So we have to speak up. So being mild and meek and scared, that goes out the window when you become a nurse anesthetist.
And I tell like my preceptees all the time, I'm like, you have to take, because you're coming into orientation, you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do. And I know a lot of times circulators, we're like tunnel vision, we go, we do it. And I purposefully slow myself down for my preceptees. And I tell them, hey, if I'm going too fast for you, slow me down because my mind is thinking work. And you have to be able to control your orientation. Most people, because they are meek, mild, they don't want to say anything. It's like it's intimidation all over the OR, not
Hmm.
only the anesthesiologist, the surgeon, especially if you have a surgeon who is not the nicest.
Exactly.
And then sometimes your circulators are like stoic as well because they may have had, bad experiences where a lot of them really don't want preceptees.
Yeah.
So they ruin the experience for their mentees that are coming in. But I let them know, hey, you have to take advantage of your learning experience because this is your learning experience. Learn how to speak up.
It's so true. And you know what? The OR is just a team effort. For
Hmm.
the goal, the primary goal is to get that patient off the table safely, right? It goes way beyond just me. Every person in the room has a role,
Hmm.
right? So I work with some nurses that literally, when my alarms start going off on my monitor, the nurse will walk from her chair and computer over to me. Hey, Rochelle, you good? Everything's okay up here, right? She knows that getting this patient off the table is our number one priority. She's checking in with me to ensure, is there anything I need to do? Do I need to run to get something? Do you need your anesthesiologist? What can I do to make the surgery go seamless, right? So it's a team effort with the surgical scrub tech when they're scrubbing with the solution, right? It's a reason that we do the 3-minute wait time,
Yes, fire.
right? Virus. But not only does it is not only is the solution a contributing factor, my oxygen is equally a contributing factor. So that's why I say everyone in there is equally important and we all play a role in getting this patient off the table the way that they came in or better.
Yes, and you want to be proactive as opposed to reactive
Reactive, right.
because those people who have had surgical fires, they now know to wait the 3 minutes.
Correct.
But you should be doing that initially so that you don't encounter things like that because it's very possible. It's an alcohol solution. And like you said, your oxygen combined with that alcohol and a little bit of fire is all
That's
it takes.
yeah,
It's
that's
literally all it takes.
And sometimes the surgeons get frustrated with the wait.
Mhm.
I've seen it many times. They get frustrated with the 3-minute wait. They standing there with their thing that they want to just dawn on.
Feeling.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm like, she's like, it's not time yet, doctor. It's not time yet because they just see go 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 go,
Mhm.
right? And I'm so glad that JCO has implemented that. Well, I guess OSHA has implemented that 3-minute wait time.
Yes, and I do feel like, and also as a circulator, it is our responsibility to slow them down.
Yes.
Even though they may be intimidating, even though they may be mean. For me, I have the ability to compartmentalize. So I'm like, whatever their issues are is 80% of what they have going on at home, 20% over here with me. So I have no room to feel like whatever they're saying is an insult unless it is an insult. And
Correct.
so
Take
whenever
it personal.
yes, whenever they're up in arms, I'm not taking that too personally, which often will shut down people. It'll shut down new people in the OR. So the new CRNAs, they won't feel like they can communicate what's going on up at the top because you have a surgeon who is creating a hostile work environment.
That is so true, Lakeisha. That is so. I see that so often in novice CRNAs. They're so afraid. Even people, I have someone, he's been practicing 5 years. He's still kind of like, he's a little better, but kind of nervous to like speak up when he know he really should be speaking up, you know?
And you have to
So
have
it
confidence.
just takes, it takes time, it takes experience, and it truly takes, unfortunately, something to happen.
Yes.
After that one thing happened, usually they'll then start speaking up.
Yes. Yes. I completely agree with you like 120%. It being in the OR is based on teamwork. It's a teamwork aspect. And I think that being charged now has been
Yeah.
very new for me
Okay.
because not only are you managing, people, emotions, and trying to push your team to speak up for themselves. I think that has been an issue. They might go outside and they might talk about it, but they don't ever say it to the surgeon.
That's right. That's so true. That's so true. But
So
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No. That was it.
So let's get back on track because we
I,
can talk all
I
day.
told you I like to talk. I will throw you off track. You got to keep. I tell my mentees, stay on track. Okay, keep me on track, Keisha.
So, what was a major challenge or obstacle you faced along your journey
You mean as a CRNA or just in my nursing career?
in your nursing career? Because I know that there are going to be a lot of nurses that are new nurses that are tuning in, and then we can do the same question for CRNA for those who are entering into that role as well.
Finding my voice. That was the major obstacle for me because I had a lot of insecurities when I was younger. Um, as you know, I've been a nurse for 27 years. I've been in the industry for 30 years, right? So, it just took me a very long time to find my voice and be assertive and be an advocate for myself. I would work extra when I knew I should be home because I didn't want to have the incoming nurse do all this work. So I would just do all this extra stuff.
Mhm.
Or I would come in days when I knew I should have been off. Or I would just be a doormat for some doctors that's just being rude and nasty without speaking up because I know that's not the right way you speak to nurses.
Mhm.
So it just took me time. That's all. It just took me, I mean, I was in my 20s also, right? It just took me time to find my voice, just not as a nurse, but just as a woman, right?
Mhm.
It literally just takes growing life's experiences. Really, that's what it is. Just experiences. Because after a while, you just get tired of being tired. You just get
And
sick and tired of being sick and tired. So you say enough is enough, and then you do better. That's it. So finding my voice was my biggest challenge as a nurse, and as a nurse anesthetist. Also finding my voice at the table as the only African American female leader.
there you
And
go.
being and expressing myself in a way that they are able to take me serious and understand that I have value, right? Because most of the people that were at the table with me were my children age, right?
Yeah.
Because I look younger than what people think I am. And I'm a Black woman, they just didn't take me serious. So I had to learn how to position myself at the table being the only African American woman.
I think that is highly seen in the OR because it's not many of us there, if I'm being
At all.
honest.
No, nor in the ICU.
I think the first time I went to my first OR day, I had a black scrub tech and he saw me, he said, I was
I do the same thing.
like,
To
me
this
too.
day, I do the same thing.
It's like now we have somebody that not only we know you got the job because you're competent. Like they didn't just hand you this job because you passed the test. Like you got the job because you're competent, you're a hard worker. And I
Mhm.
think that I see this all the time, especially being in leadership now. I was in leadership at a long-term care facility, but
Mhm.
being in the OR, it's a little bit different because the dynamics are different. And so having to correct people, having to slow the surgeons down, make sure they have on their masks because they will come in the room, they won't be prepared. And most of the time I'll see nurses shy to the corner of the room and not say anything about the things that are happening.
Mhm.
And because we have to be careful, these are our patients. If it was your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, you would want the patient to be, you would want your doctor to be scrubbed in right, for them to take all the precautions to prevent any infections, to make sure that the patient is safe.
Right.
And so finding a voice, I think for me finding, I had to find my nursing voice too. It happened a little early on because I was in COVID, like I started during COVID,
Okay.
and to advocate for my patients, I had to find a voice. Yeah, did I have to breathe a little bit, talk myself into it? Like I have to say it. I have to say it.
It
But I was forced to find my voice very, very early.
it takes time though. It takes
Mhm.
that experience, and once a woman find her voice, you better watch out.
Yes, yes, because when I tell you we put our patients first. Yeah, we care about workplace environment and all the things because we want to make sure that our team works well. But our patient is our, like you said, our first priority.
And you know what? It's that fine line also as a black woman, right? You don't, even though you find your voice, you want to ensure the translation of that voice.
Hmm.
It's not our responsibility how it's interpreted, but it's our responsibility of which we deliver it, right? So you want to be careful of how you say things and what you say so that it's not being mistaken as the angry black woman.
The aggression portion of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think learning that, sometimes in our space you have to throw sugar on shit.
Right. It's
Sometimes
true.
you have to make it a softer approach. You
Correct. Correct.
like I'm a very direct person, and sometimes my voice may translate as you're too direct.
Mm-hmm.
So I have found myself over explaining in situations to make people understand where I'm coming from and why you have to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Um being 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 kind is just overall, it'll get you places. So like starting with being kind, always making sure you're available to your staff so that you can create a environment of teamwork. But I do want to go back to the point where you said that you were picking up shifts, doing all the things, making the load easier for your teammates who were coming in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
How did that contribute to your burnout? Did you burn out from that?
I burned out from that. And what I realized actually from my therapist was that I'm a people's pleaser. I'm a people pleaser. And I didn't realize it. I thought I was just being a good teammate.
Mhm.
I thought I was just helping out, right? But that's why I say it's that fine line. Sure, you should be a good teammate. Sure, you absolutely should help out, but not at the detriment of your mental health,
Mhm.
not at the detriment where you are exhausted and you have nothing left to give when you come home to your loved ones. So that was where I was struggling with, right? And what I've realized now is that that's why we have shifts, right?
Mhm.
Your shift is over, it's over.
24-hour care.
It's 24-hour care for a reason. right? I was always worried, oh, I don't want her to think I'm a bad nurse. Or why did she leave this Foley bag so full? Because I was so busy with this cold next door, the Foley bag, this, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like still doing all the things, even though I know I was truly busy running all day, didn't have a break, didn't pee, didn't drink a sip of water. But that incoming nurse, she doesn't know that.
And I think that
She just see that tons of stuff still isn't done for the patient
mhm,
taken from me. So I would just do some of the things to prevent that thought. But now, honestly, Lakeisha, I don't care. I don't care.
working on getting there.
Yeah, I truly don't care what you think about me, what you believe about me, because at the core, God is overseeing everything that I do. And I genuinely know I'm a good person. I'm going
Mhm.
to do the best that I can without compromising my mental health.
And I think that it is very important that you just said that. And I too just had to email my boss and be like, hey, all of the responsibilities that I have overnight is not fair. I'm doing work in other departments. Like I don't get paid to do the work in the other departments. And while I didn't mind initially to do the work, now that I realize that I'm overwhelmed if we get a trauma or two or three in-house, because I had that experience. I think initially it was, um, you don't have the experience. You know, you're just going through the motions. I'm doing these things because I don't have two or three traumas coming in. But when you're
Mhm.
the only nurse at night and you're having to call people in and you're having to set up the rooms and you're having to do all the things, but you also have to pre-op the patient because
Right.
pre-op is coming in,
It's a
um,
lot.
it becomes a lot. And so in that, yes, I have started to like stand up for myself more in that aspect, because I think it is the culture in which you're entering into. If you already have the nurses who are doing all the things and overwhelming themselves, and they may only tell two or three people, but they're not escalating their emotions to others, that's where you get the overdoing the things.
It's so true. And that's why I talk so heavily to my mentees. Before we start anything in my mentorship, we always talk about mindset shifts, how important it is, because that's the new generation of CRNAs coming in, right? Who's going to take care of me and my family and my friends and my peers, right? It's the younger generation. But if you're burnt out, if the 30-year-old and the 20-year-old is already getting burnt out, that's a problem. So
Hmm.
that's why I try to talk about and stress about that work life balance is crucial. Speaking up about your needs is crucial. Don't let money be the defining factor, right? Because money will drive you to insanity,
Hmm.
trying to just chase that money, right? I know I was that nurse. I went from hospital to contract to hospital to contract to bags in my trunk, bags down the road, shoes in this locker, shoes at this hospital, shoes here, shoes there. It just gets to the point. It's the truth. I'm telling you the truth because you're a contractor, right? Contractor nurses, they got stuff everywhere, all over the city, at every hospital. So, to each his own, but I really have to focus on, I try to focus on like instilling self-care to my mentees because you can't take care of a patient if your mind isn't in the right space,
And I
right?
tell I tell my team that all the time. If you can't come in, you can't come in. If you need a mental day, you need a mental day.
If
Now,
you
my
still
upper management might not be too fond of me saying that, but I do truly believe that. And if they call me and they say I can't make it, I'm not questioning them. Like you have your day off, whatever it looks like for you.
well, by law now, you can't
You're
question.
not supposed to. You're not supposed to, but I have seen where my bosses are doing that.
You're not
They're
supposed to.
asking all the questions. I think I got sick one day and I got a message, hey, like, is your baby sick? No, it
So
doesn't matter who is sick.
so the truth is though, most employees don't know that.
Hmm.
So I'm coming from a a leadership role, right? Legally, if someone calls out, it's your responsibility to physically call out, and that's it. Hey, unfortunately, I won't be in today. That's it. They can't go beyond that. Oh, what's going on? They're not supposed to do that.
Or try to convince you to come in,
Right.
or sometimes they'll try to coerce you to come in. I know I had a scrub tech who told me she was sick at the field, like we had the flu going around, and she was like, I was sweating, I was trying to get out, and when I came to the front desk she wouldn't let me go home.
Yeah.
I was like, that makes people leave. That
We're in a very interesting space in healthcare though. Like a
Mhm,
lot of people are getting into nursing and they're leaving, and then it's so unfortunate. That's why I always stress to people, are you sure nurse anesthetist is what you want to do? Please don't do it for just money. I'm
mhm,
not saying not want to make money. We all want to make good money. That's not a secret, right? But it has to be more than just making money. You
mhm.
have to really want to do it, because being a CRNA can be stressful. It can be very, very stressful. So you really have to want to do this career, right? Because you'll find, as soon as you run into a roadblock, you'll find a way. I know some nurse anesthetists literally, this is no joke, have gotten their nurse practitioner degree in 18 months, and now they're running wellness centers and stuff. They no longer give anesthesia because the stress,
Yeah,
and it is stressful. That's why I resigned from my chief role and I work 2 days a week.
okay.
Yeah, I work 2 days a week now. You didn't, well, yeah, I think it's in my bio.
I did not look.
Yeah, I work part-time. My mental health after COVID, um, I had had enough. I had had enough. And I asked my husband, hey, do you think we can afford for me to go part-time? And he was like, what's going on? This is probably like the fifth or sixth time you asked me about this. So
And
he
you
knew,
mean it.
because I meant it. And I was really feeling a burnout. So when after like the sixth time I said something about it, he knew I was serious. He was like, yeah, we'll work it out. So I took a 9 month hiatus, and I just sort of found myself and recentered and was just doing shift work here and there. And then I found an amazing place with an amazing chief that honored my values. I told her about how I feel about stress and putting me first unapologetically, and she's on the same page. Actually, she instilled a culture. Our hospital has that culture where CRNAs get these types of cases, blah, blah, blah. But nonetheless, I went back part time and I love it again. I love it. 2 days a week is perfect for me.
And I'm glad that you touched on that, because I did not know that you had resigned from your chief role, but
Yeah.
I do know how hard COVID was on anesthesiologists, because you were the people who had to be at the bedside along with respiratory. And that, when I tell you, that was a hard thing to navigate, especially, coming fresh out of school, going into COVID,
Mm,
seeing, because I always say I don't know anybody else's scope of practice. So I can't speak to what they are doing, what they aren't doing. And that keeps me a little bit more empathetic as to saying, I don't feel like they're working. I see that a lot. I see that very often. Like, I don't feel like you're working. I don't feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I have no idea what your role is. But I
mm-hmm.
saw how hard it was on so many of the
Yeah.
healthcare providers in general. And so, when COVID came, it was like people started to value their lives. Now, a word from our sponsors. This episode of The Evolved Nurse is brought to you by Yoni Potion, the natural wellness beverage crafted for women by women. Ladies, let's be real. When it comes to health, we often put everyone else's first. But here's the thing, your body deserves care too, especially when it comes to something as important as your vaginal health. That's where Yoni Potion comes in. This isn't just any health drink, it's a game changer. Made with natural ingredients like pineapple, ginger, apple cider vinegar, and more, creates a natural probiotic for a healthy microbiome. Yoni Potion helps you maintain balance from inside out. It's all about keeping your pH levels in check, supporting hormonal health, and helping you feel comfortable and confident in your own skin. Oh, and did I mention it's delicious? Whether you're hitting the gym, powering through a busy workday, or just need a pick me up, Yoni Potion is there to keep you feeling your best because when your body feels good, you feel unstoppable. So, if you're ready to embrace your health and take charge of your wellness journey, head over to yonipotion.com. That's YONIPHOTION.com and check out Yoni Potion. Listeners can get 10% off using code POTION10, P capital HOTION 10 on your first order. It's time to treat your body with the care it deserves. Yoni Potion, because wellness starts from within. Now, back to the show. More.
So that was me. I went through a very challenging time during COVID. I had COVID twice. I had two surgeries. And once I got through that, and one of the main goals, I had a little small staff and I had a single mom, and I knew my people couldn't afford to just be furloughed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to create this system. All of the CRNAs, we came together to create systems so that everyone can still work, but some people could be furloughed at home for 2 weeks. So we sort of rotated, and that worked out for us. But yeah, COVID just took a big toll on most people, particularly me, because I still had to staff three locations with only 12 people. So I knew after COVID, I was done. I knew it without a doubt that I could no longer live like this. I was taking a boatload of on call.
Mm-hmm.
On call consisted for me of staying away from my household. I had to stay in the hospital townhouse so that I can be, within the allotted time to get there in 30 minutes. So it was then compromising my home life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so with the surgeries, having COVID, being on call so much, it was just enough. And I just decided to just put it behind me. That was just that chapter of my life. And it was a great chapter, but I just didn't want to do it anymore.
And I'm proud of you for, like you said, you found yourself. You learned how to say no. You learned how to put yourself first.
Yes.
Because I'll say this in every episode, I didn't recognize how to put myself first until I went to a COVID swab job that I had in conjunction with working on the COVID unit. Why was I working two jobs at the time? I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have, but I was.
Yeah, we do it.
And I was so stressed out. And a girl told me, she said, Keisha, you have to realize that if you died today, your job would be on Indeed tomorrow.
And
And that's
that's
how these corporations look at you. And we have to move through the world like that. That's not our business. We're just there to provide a service and go home.
It's so true. It's so true. And that was one of my reluctancies for waiting so long because I
Mhm.
had my resignation typed up on my laptop for a whole year, but I wouldn't send it because I was so, I was struggling with guilt. Again, that's that people pleaser
Mhm.
again, right? Even then.
Always shows up. It's always going to show up as long as you don't deal with it.
Yeah, so I know that it's there, but in the back of my mind, that was one of the reasons I wouldn't resign because I knew it was already, I work in a rural hospital and it was hard for us to get staff. So I knew if I quit, the chief who keeps things together, that keeps things running efficient, not that no one else couldn't do it, but it was already challenging to get staffing out there.
Mhm.
So I was struggling with guilt. I'm like, oh gosh, I even gave them probably like a 6-month notice. I
Okay.
did because
Get it together, train the other person, all the things. I
and
got you.
it just didn't happen. And it's just so funny because when I resigned, my boss offered me everything plus the kitchen sink. Oh, you can have the whole summer off. Oh, we'll increase your bonus for more this amount. We'll increase your salary every month because I gave her 6-month notice. So every month it was another incentive and another incentive. But what my husband made clear to me, he said, you know what's so interesting? Why can they do all of this stuff now? Why didn't they see your value when you were working so hard for them? And that was confirmation that I need to leave, right? Now you see my value,
Mhm.
right? Now you see my value after I built the whole endo center. After I've been staffing 3 buildings with 12 people, right? After I kept this whole aura together after and during and post COVID. Now you want to give me the summer off. And now you want to give me extra bonuses and blah, blah, blah. I kindly said, thank you so much, but no, thank you. My piece has no amount, no dollar amount on it.
Mhm. And I think that speaks to negotiating your pay. More you being at a rural center is like you may feel like they may not have the money to even pay me more or let me be off more, but they have it.
They had it.
They're allocating it where they want to.
In their pockets. I mean, I got bonuses every year and all of the things, but I never got a raise, right? I never got a raise. I would just get big bonuses every year. Yeah, I never got a raise. I think maybe one time I got a raise when I took on a chief role,
Mhm.
and then every year I got a bigger bonus, but it wasn't significant. It was nothing significant. What she offered me when I resigned was significant. It was life changing significant. Like every summer off, right? Like
Be
you,
making money that I was making and I still get every summer off.
yeah, exactly. So it literally just confirmed, but God is so good. And, all my followers know I'm a believer and it is what it is. If you're not about it, you're not about it. But I'm so glad I went on my way because right when I resigned, they got bought out. They got bought out by another company. So I wouldn't have been there anyway.
Exactly. Imagine how distraught you would have been had you left that resignation on your
Yes.
computer for a year, still dedicated all your time to them,
Yes.
didn't plan for anything else, and then
They
you
got
lose
bought.
your job.
Exactly. They had to reapply for the job. So yeah, so it all worked out. It all
Yeah,
worked.
it, you have to listen to your gut. You
Out. Which
have
is that.
to. Most times we don't, like you said, that people pleaser. And I think a lot of nurses are like innately people pleasers. That's why we go into the profession because we
You're right.
want to serve others and we don't know how to balance serving others and not going to the extreme of being a people pleaser. And it
Yep.
does, like you said, having some insecurities when you're young, it does create that people pleasing spirit. And it's a very toxic trait to have because you don't put yourself first.
You have to be intentional about putting
Mhm.
yourself first. You literally have to think of every decision you make, who is going to be affected by this. That's what you have to think about. So you have to be intentional about just self-love and
Yes.
self-care. You really do. It's a reason why on a plane they say put your own oxygen mask on first before
Mhm.
you help someone else. That's a reason for that.
I think that it has been a long time since I've actually heard another nurse say that they were people pleasing. And because I'm not on the floor anymore, I don't see it often, but I do see it in myself often where I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to make sure that the day shift is efficient. But this week I went to the staff meeting
And
and I
you,
told all of them, I said, hey, y'all need to make sure that you're cleaning up your rooms appropriately because if we have days where we run long, our mid shifters aren't able to get to their work. And that means your work, their work, and my work all falls on me.
yep. Good for
And
you.
yes, it's a lot. I have a mentor now, and she was like, it's going to be important that you speak up for yourself.
It is because you're so new in your career. You don't
Mhm.
want to get burnt out so early. And that's one of the results of just things being piled up on you. You just like collapse and you just have enough had enough.
And then, like you said, get your NP and run your own center.
It's so true. I have many colleagues that have done that. They really have.
Well, I am getting my doctorate.
Oh, okay, there you go. Actually, I have a mentee. She's applying to CRNA school. She has a med spa in Florida.
Mhm.
She is becoming a doctor in nurse anesthetist, so that she will no longer. She's such a smart woman too. She no longer have to pay for a medical advisory at her center. She will
Ah,
then be the doctor and a CRNA. She's such a smart woman.
that is
Genius,
oh,
right?
that's
Yes,
a thought to have. It's
yes.
like, why pay you the money?
She
Um,
got it. She's going to go ahead and make her own money, work part time as a nurse anesthetist, and still run her business. And she will get rid of the doctor who she's paying a boatload of money to
to come in once or twice.
when she is the doctor.
I love to hear it. I love to hear
Yeah, yeah, she's awesome. She has an interview Monday, actually. We're going to do a lot of work for her to get ready for this
it.
interview.
I am excited to see it. I love that you're dedicating so much time and energy into other people who want to be CRNAs. It wasn't on the question list, but what made you start your program? Oh, I did put it on the
You,
list.
Lakeisha, one of the problems is so when all of this started when I start working part time. I have a lot of free time on my hands, right? I volunteer at a senior place on Thursdays, a few days a month. But I also realized going to this place that I love so much, I was the only African American on my team where I work right now part time. So I just looked up the stats, and there's still only 3% of African American CRNAs in our industry. Only 3%. So I ran one post that was like a timeline of like my work history, and all these women of color started reaching out to me and asking me, can I help them? Asking me questions. So I was like, hmm, I may be on to something. This is a good way to help women, particularly women of color, get into CRNA school, and it has taken off. It has taken off.
And I love that you have, poured so much into the community because not only do you have your mentorship, you also do get on live very often. You give free game to
I
people.
do.
Like, people do need to tune in to the things that you're saying, especially if they want to enter into the space of CRNA school. Even if you're in nursing school right now, you have no idea what you want to do because it's so many different specialties. Make sure that you're finding people in this space that offer really, really good information that you can take with you, whether you're going to go into that space or not, because you never know where your life will lead you.
That's
Like,
so true.
you didn't know that you were going to be a CRNA.
No. And you know what? I often tell people like the type of mentor that I am, like, because I see what my competition is out there, right? It is what it is. There's so many other CRNA prep programs that offer all the bells and whistles courses and templates and this and this and this. I'm just a people's person. I just like to have real conversation with people. I'm
Mhm.
going to talk you through your problems. I'm going to go through your paperwork. I'm not going to have 9,000 people in my mentorship, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not my personality. How can I connect with about all these women? I like small, intimate people where I can provide true value to you and help you get in, right? That's my goal, to truly help you get into CRNA school. I worked with this one lady for 7 months, just 7 months. She just got accepted in the Cincinnati University. I think it's Cincinnati State University, whatever the name, University of Cincinnati. She the one thing she told me, she said, I said, well, what made you choose me? And she was like, I really never saw a black CRNA who I could talk to about this.
Mhm.
And that's the difference. People just want someone they can talk to that help them through it, you know?
Mhm. Because
So, yeah.
sometimes, that insecurity creeps up, the fear creeps up, the,
And I
imposter
just
syndrome creeps up.
tell them I was right there with you. You're not
Mhm.
gonna get that from an e-course. You're not gonna get that from a template in a book and a this and a that. You're gonna get this from having real dialogue with people, with a person, a real person that has been there with you. I've been on interviews where I didn't get accepted.
Mhm.
Right? I've been on and I sent tons of applications where I ain't get no response. So I've been there. I know exactly what they're going through. But it's hard to find someone that look like me that's going to help you through it. It's plenty people out there, but it's challenging to find someone that look like me.
And I do feel like, there is a sort of gatekeeping of the information, you
I
know?
mean, not
You
with me.
don't.
You can
You
ask
don't.
you can ask any of my mentees.
Mhm.
We are just like this on this how we you and I are, Lakeisha. We are just like this live, going through real stuff. And it's not made up stuff. It's real facts. It's evidence-based stuff that is real, that has been proven. It's stuff that my mentees has already been through and I've been through. It's real stuff that I give, right? So no, ma'am. Ain't no gatekeeping with me because I want you to get in. This
Mhm.
girl had applied to 7 different programs. 7. Interviewed in all 7 and didn't get in. Okay. She had no idea what she was doing wrong. But as soon as I saw her face on camera, I knew immediately what the issue was. Immediately. So I look at her from September 2024 to now, her whole year and ambience about herself is different. And
Mhm.
she wouldn't have known that if she didn't have someone to look at her on camera to tell her how she's answering questions. She wouldn't even answer the question. She would tell these long stories. She didn't even know it. She didn't even know.
Bouncing around.
Yes, she didn't know it. That's why you need someone to like help you through it, record it, and things like
Mhm.
that.
And I think that it's very important because you have to point out, though, even though it's hard to point out the issue, like you are not as engaging as you think you are. And I think
Right. Or you don't look friendly, you look intimidating. Or why do you keep doing like this? Why are you doing that? What's the point of you? This is what I mean. This is why you got to be around someone that has done the things that you're trying to do. Because the chances are you don't even know that you're doing it.
and a lot of times I can say people don't have great interviewing skills.
We were
They
not
they
taught that in
just
nursing school. We
they
were never
just don't.
taught. Right.
Um, Fortunately, I was in a course in high school that allowed me to go to school part of the day and work part of the day. And I worked at the middle school. And they taught us interviewing techniques, how to do a resume, all of those things. But I don't see a lot of people. First of all, the class didn't have a lot of people in it.
Mm.
One, but I don't see a lot of people honing in on their interviewing skills. And so recently I've started volunteering with a girls group here, and we did interview sessions with them, whatever job, like different types of jobs. And some of them, like they're in middle school, high school, already started their businesses, but they don't have the best interviewing techniques. They don't have the best professionalism. And so like helping them with that, teaching them how to interview appropriately. I can say that I've seen people sit like this, like the fiddling of the hands, not knowing where to
Really?
put their hands. Like you said, not answering the question directly, like making a long statement to kind of drown out everything else.
And what they don't realize is that that long answer has been so long that you lost the interviewer. She
Hmm.
doesn't even you
What
they,
you?
right. What are you talking about? She end up in stories that wasn't related to the question, things like that. Another thing that people underrate is their appearance. Your first impression, how they see you, is so says so much. And it
Mhm,
shouldn't be that way. But people come in, and I'm just telling you this from a chief nurse anesthetist that interviewed many people, right? You're coming for a job and you got 9,000 jingling bracelets on like this, right? A whole bunch of earrings making all of this noise. It's just so many things that it's the etiquette part that
mhm.
a lot of people are just missing.
It is a portion of etiquette that comes with interviewing. I remember when I was unit manager at that long-term care facility and I had to interview people and they would come in and unfortunately, people sometimes don't have enough money to afford interviewing clothes.
Nope, that's
No,
no excuse.
it's not an excuse because you could go to the Salvation Army.
Right, for free.
However, I'm giving them a little bit of grace here, just a little bit of grace. However, coming into the interview with tights on, slippers on,
Thank you.
I think that just speaking, because this is off topic, but we're just talking here. It's just impromptu. We're
Fine.
just I think that when people are going to long-term care facilities, they don't care about those jobs because those jobs are bottom of the barrel to them. And so they show up how they show up, bonnet on head, um,
What? You're
tights on.
telling
I
me you're telling me someone came to an interview with a bonnet on their head?
Yes, people in those spaces, a lot of times they don't care. I'm not saying everybody doesn't, but I have seen where people they're going to their interviews and they don't know what interviewing like looks like.
Attire. Yeah,
Like
interview.
even for myself, like unfortunately, people are not very receptive to locks. It's kind of what it is in the world that we live in the system that we live in. So when people like my old staff, they saw me come in, I had my locks in a swoop and a bun in the back. And my one of my RNs, she was like, "Are you going to a job interview today?" And I was like, "Yes, I am."
Because that's very professional. I was gonna say, like, I work with someone with locks, and that's exactly what she does. She have
Mhm.
locks, and they're very, very long locks, extremely long. But she looks so professional when she's dressed up. She'll put it all back and put it like in a side bun, and it's very appropriate.
Mhm. And so it's unfortunate. Like I always
Mhm.
have to prompt that it's unfortunate that we have to, you know, curtail our hair into whatever looks good to people so that we can get the job, so that we can get the position, so that we can get into school. Unfortunately, that is the reality of where we are because, like you said, it's only a small percentage of us that are
Yep,
on committees, that are chiefs, that are in lead positions. Sometimes it's none of us that are in lead positions.
it's true.
And so, you became a leader in the healthcare space. What did it look like for you to become a chief?
To be totally honest with you, if I can be transparent, I didn't go in seeking a chief CRNA role. It sort of fell in my lap because I was helping once again. my
Being
personality, my personality. I um, was working at that location and they didn't have systems in place. And because they lacked systems, it made the OR, the anesthesia department, run inefficient. And I'm a planner. I like things streamlined. I like things in order. So I just start doing the things just to keep order,
Mhm,
honestly, just to keep order. And it was impacting all of us. So when they saw that I was like doing this and helping them with timesheets and payroll and this, that, and the other CRNAs was like, "Oh, Rochelle, that was so nice. Thank you for doing that and doing this and doing that." So then when a chief role came up, my chairman submitted my name. I didn't even, in all honesty, I did inquire about it to my chairman, but not to the big boss.
mhm,
I was like, "What's this about? What does this entail?" And he was like talking to me about it. So he just went on and submitted my name. And then my big boss called me and was like, "Hey, you want to talk about this position?" I was like, "I don't know if I was serious about it."
I was
Um,
just was trying to ask some questions, you
was
know?
just really trying to help out and stuff. But then I was talking to my husband about it, and I said, it's a learning. Maybe I'll try it. Something I can do that's going to help me learn, help the hospital, help the OR. And I'm glad I did it. So, yeah, so it wasn't something that I sought out, but it was sort of something that sort of fell in my lap because I don't think leadership is on you. I think it's in you.
In you.
Like you just have to be it innately. Be a
Mhm.
creative mind, like to solve problems. And that's just how I am as a person in general. So naturally, I took that to work just to make it more cohesive for the group. And everyone saw it. So that's why he recommended me and I accepted. And I said, okay, I'll do it for 1 year. That 1 year turned into like so many years. I think like six, 7 years.
And I think it's very important to speak to leadership and systems because if you don't have systems in place,
It's a
it is
problem.
it's a detriment to, like you said, payroll. It's an issue with communication. It's an issue with culture. It's so many things happen when you don't have clear systems in place, policies and procedures in place. I had also been one to go ahead and make a procedures list for people.
Exactly, that type of thing, yes.
And I was getting my nails done because I have since left the place that I was doing that. And I'm kind of sort of doing some of those things at the facility I'm at now. And I was getting my nails done, and a girl that was on my staff, she was like, "Hey, I still use that book that you got. I stole it from the other unit. They don't know it's gone." I'm like, I do appreciate that I was able to give that to them so that they do know what to do in crisis situations.
Right.
Because so many times you just don't know what you don't know. And then on the back end, you get all these emails telling you what you should have done, but you
Mhm.
didn't know. You had
Right,
no idea.
exactly.
So we are nearing the end of this episode.
Oh, no, it was fun.
And yes, I really do appreciate you for coming on and talking to me. So what advice would you give to someone who is contemplating becoming a CRNA?
I would say, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. It's an amazing profession. I am so thankful and so blessed that I chose to become a CRNA. So make sure you really want to do it because it's not for the faint of heart. It can be very stressful. Every day our job isn't stressful, but it can be
Mhm.
very stressful. There's a reason why we make good money because it's a big responsibility. Um, I would say prepare. I would say go into work into a very strong ICU where you are seeing all the bells and whistles, cardiac or trauma or neuro, preferably like large academic centers over like little small community hospitals. Not that you can't get into CRNA school in a small community, coming from a small community hospital, but they will favor someone with large background, large ICU background, because you've been more exposed to
Mhm.
different things, right? And that's so important. And I would say the one thing people can start very early that people overlook is just start getting your finances in order. Start paying off all your debt because you can't work. It's highly shunned upon for you to work. Now people work, but most people they don't work. So pay your debt off, stack some money, buy a house while you can, and maybe rent out some rooms to other nurse anesthesia students. Different things like that. Like set yourself up for preparing not to work.
And I appreciate you for talking about the choosing a bigger hospital academic center over a smaller hospital because it creates the critical thinking skills that
Correct.
you'll need because you'll see so many different things if you are in those areas, which is why I moved to where I moved to
Yep.
and started working where I work because I was exposed to a lot. it also gave me the opportunity to not start in the med surge department like everywhere else. So just knowing that, you can do whatever you want to do, be whoever you want to be. Miss Chief Rochelle, who is was a chief, will always be a chief, but she's not one right now. She has definitely had obstacles. She was a mom. She had all the fear in the world. She had the imposter syndrome. All of these things were set up to stop her from doing what she did. But look at where she is because she put that to the side and she was able to succeed. So anytime those thoughts and feelings come up, yes, acknowledge them. Don't let them go unnoticed. Acknowledge them. If you need to seek therapy, go to therapy. Find you somebody that'll help you navigate those emotions that you're having because I think it's very, very important. Go ahead.
I also want to say, I think it's so important, particularly for African American women, to find a mentor.
Hmm.
That's not even taught in our community, right? Therapy isn't even taught in our community. I'm so glad hospitals and jobs in corporate America is now starting to take mental health serious. But mentorship really help you sort of bridge those feelings that you're going, bridge the feelings that you're dealing with in your, especially in your career,
Hmm.
right? Because when we apply to CRNA school, oftentimes we're doing it in silent.
Yeah.
People don't expose that they are preparing for CRNA school for various reasons, right? They don't want their boss to know. They don't want their colleagues to know. The colleagues going to start treating them different, or they're going to start giving them crappy assignments. Whatever the reason is, I did it. And that's why I know so well. No one knew I was preparing for CRNA school. But when you're doing it in isolation, you oftentimes miss out on a lot of you miss out and you make a lot of errors and mistakes, right? Had I had a CRNA mentor, I wouldn't have worked 13 years before applying. I just didn't know any better. I thought I needed more and more and more and more experience. Had I had a mentor, she would have told me, or he would have told me, Rochelle, you have enough. You're good enough. You have so much experience. I've
Hmm.
worked in I've never worked in a small hospital. I've always worked big trauma, big names, world renowned hospitals, in big ICUs. I was an innate leader. I was always a charge nurse on a regular floor, right? In the ICU, always. But I still didn't think it was enough. So I just kept working and working and working and working and working. That's why I tell you guys it's so important to have a mentor, to someone that can help you with just basic things. You don't know that your household issues is contributing to why you're messing up in your interview.
Hmm.
You don't even know it. You don't, because it's so normal for you to be dealing with this stuff. But it takes someone to point that out. Okay, let me seek some help for this. Then I'm gonna reapply next year. You know what I mean? So that's all. Like, seek some mentorship. It really did change the game for me. Right now, I have a therapist and a mentor.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
I'm a
too.
real estate investor on the side. So I have a mentor for that, and I have a therapist. Just I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a dog mom, I'm a friend, I do all the things.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And I think it's very important that we always speak to how we are so much more than nurses. That's why I created the Evolve Nurse, because we're not just
love
nurses.
that.
We're
Yeah,
all the other things. And then even if you don't want to be a nurse anymore, if you decide that you're too burnt out, that's not what you want to do, it's still things that you can do that are synonymous with the lessons that you've learned in nursing that allow you to, create the life that you want to create, like you being a real estate investor now, you being PRN now. Those things just show us that we're taking care of ourselves and we're creating better relationships for us, our parents, friends, every
family,
family,
children.
everyone. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like, I think mentorship is so important. And speaking of that, I got to put this plug out.
There you go.
I am actually hosting on April 24th
Mhm.
this it's a question vault. I'm disclosing all of the questions that I've compiled over all of these months and years of my experience, months with my mentors, months with my mentees, all the questions that they've been asked in interviews, questions that I've witnessed being asked when I sit on interviews. So I'm just opening up the lid. I'm giving it all out. I'm exposing it all. And yeah, so April 24th, you just got to look out for it. It's going to be a one night only Zoom event.
Okay.
And it's just, it's not a whole mentorship. It's just a one-time event where I'm just sort of getting people familiar with the types of questions that's asked, the answers and the rationale and things like that. So,
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna list that in the description, and I'll link it to your website
okay,
as
nice.
well. And where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram right now at Chief CRNA underscore Rochelle.
Alrighty, so you have made it to the end of this episode. With that being said, we would like to thank Chief Rochelle for coming on to the podcast. She did not have to come on here, but she did. She gave us a wealth of knowledge, and we are super, super appreciative for that. If you have any questions for me, you can always go to my inbox on Instagram at the Evolved Nurse, or my other Instagram, Lakeisha underscore Logan.